Welcome to the Daybreak with Jeff Slakey podcast. I'm so happy you found us. Please subscribe, rate, review, and share this with your circle of influence. It's a collection of the interviews, news, and conversation during Daybreak with Jeff Slakey on iFiber One News Radio, KMAS, weekdays from 6 to 9. Good Wednesday morning to you. Hope you're having a great start to the day, as it's going to be another nice one. Spencer, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing all right. I got up super early today to see if we could see that comet, whatever it's called. I forget. I'm too tired to remember. And the tree line blocked it. So got a little bit of an earlier start, but that's okay. We tried.
Better you than me. I didn't even know there was a comet.
Yeah, it was supposed to be visible, and I guess it was, but it's hard to see through all those trees in great view.
How do you know exactly what time you're supposed to watch it? It's not like it's on a track or something.
Well, Sarah saw it on the news, and then with these space apps and night sky apps, it shows you exactly where it should be. So you hold your phone up, and the GPS pins it where it should be at that given moment, which is kind of cool. Same thing with the International Space Station. We see that all the time. The app will tell us right where it is. And you can see that even in daylight. It's so big. It's pretty cool.
Huh. That is cool. Well, today on the show, some local news and conversation. We'll also find out who is deserving for dinner today. We'll start with, though, a COVID update. Mason County Public Health notified of 3 additional Mason County residents that tested positive for COVID-19, bringing the total overall to 68 positive cases in the county. Mason County Public Health is continuing contact interviews. The patients, one's a female in her 20s. The other 2 are males, one in their 20s and one in their 30s, are currently isolating at home. During the pandemic, Washington's billionaires have made enough money to cover the state's budget shortfall. Here's Eric Tegedoff with more.
During the pandemic, Washington's billionaires have made enough money to cover the state's 2021 budget shortfall, with $85 billion to spare. According to a new analysis, Washington's 12 billionaires added nearly $90 billion to their wealth between mid-March and mid-June, the second highest amount in the country behind California. Meanwhile, the state predicts a $4.5 billion hole in next year's budget. Frank Clementi heads the group Americans for Tax Fairness, which co-wrote the report. He says the shortfall means slashing budgets for education, housing, and food and nutrition programs.
The inequities, the inequality that's happening in this era in America is astonishing, and it needs a remedy.
The report was co-authored by the Economic Opportunity Institute and Healthcare for America Now. Nationwide, it says billionaires' wealth increased $584 billion between mid-March and mid-June. During this period, 1.3 million Washingtonians lost their jobs. Executive Director of Healthcare for America Now, Margarita George, says that's bad news for their health insurance.
We will expect that a lot of those people are going to lose their employer-sponsored coverage. Even people who are laid off, their job isn't permanently terminated. During the time that they're laid off, if they're going to retain their health care, they're going to have to pay the full cost of it.
Clementi says the CARES Act, passed in March to provide coronavirus relief, included a tax break for the country's millionaires. He wants the Senate to approve the HEROES Act, which would repeal that tax break.
If we repeal that giveaway, we raise $250 billion. It's $250 billion we would raise. That's money that could go directly into more services for folks at the community level, family level, pay for extended unemployment benefits, things like that.
Clementi hopes Congress can pass the HEROES Act before its next recess begins on August 7th. For Washington News Service, I'm Eric Tegedoff.
Thanks, Eric. Washington Governor Jay Inslee says that the statewide pause for counties looking to advance from their current stage of economic reopening will continue through at least July 28th. The pause, implemented earlier this month, was originally intended to be in place for 2 weeks for the state's 39 counties, which are in various phases of a 4-stage economic reopening plan. But Inslee said that rising case counts mean there is a significant risk that parts of the economy may be closed again if the current trends don't change. Also, a reminder, contractor crews working for the Washington State Department of Transportation scheduled to restore traffic to a rebuilt portion of the Shelton-Matlock Road adjacent to US 101 on Monday. Travelers should expect up to 15-minute delays as crews make the change.
And again today on the show, some more conversations, and coming up after the weather, we'll find out who is today's Deserving for Dinner nominees. More Daybreak Show coming up.
From the iFiber One News Radio studios, you're listening to Daybreak.
Well, good morning again, everybody. The Daybreak Show rolls on. Some regional news, Spencer. Good morning.
Yes, good morning. Authorities in suburban Seattle have identified a police officer shot and killed after a brief vehicle pursuit. Officer Jonathan Shoup started his law enforcement career with the Bothell Police Department just a little more than a year ago. He previously served in the Coast Guard. Investigators are looking into what prompted gunfire that left him dead and another officer wounded Monday night. Authorities arrested the suspect after a nearly 6-hour search when they found him on a nearby roof where he had been hiding. The suspect's name was not immediately released.
A Montana memory care facility that didn't carry out free coronavirus testing on its residents is reeling from an outbreak that has infected nearly everyone who lives there. 8 residents have died, accounting for almost a quarter of Montana's 34 confirmed deaths. The outbreak illustrates that even the most common-sense preventative measures sometimes go unused during the pandemic. Canyon Creek Memory Care in Billings was among 45 of the 289 assisted living facilities and nursing homes in Montana that initially declined the state's call for testing. Its owner hasn't directly answered questions about why it didn't test residents and staff for the virus.
Investigators have completed a 10-month inquiry into sexual harassment allegations at a Puget Sound naval shipyard that led to 13 people being disciplined and 2 fired from their positions. The Kitsap Sun reported more than 150 interviews were conducted after a former employee of the Puget Sound Naval Shipyard in Bremerton made the harassment claims in a September social media post. Brandon Hunt detailed pervasive sexual harassment she and others faced at Kitsap County's largest employer. In addition to the 2 employees who were fired, the investigation resulted in 2 demotions, 3 reprimands, and suspensions lasting between 1 and 10 days.
And the Seattle Mariners will begin a season without Ichiro or Felix Hernandez on the opening day roster for the first time in 20 years. Those 2 stars served as faces of the franchise for the past 2 decades, while the Mariners embarked on the longest postseason drought in major pro sports, last reaching the playoff in Suzuki's rookie season in 2001. But the Mariners believe they're on the cusp of having the kind of team that won't need singular stars to attract fans. The likes of Kyle Lewis, Justice Sheffield, and Justin Dunn will get their chance during the shortened 60-game season. We're going to have those games for you here on AM 1030 and FM 103.3, expected to start next Friday. If you're a business and interested in advertising your services in the Mariners, reasonable rates, especially because it's such a short season and it's so bizarre, because of coronavirus. If you're interested in learning more about that, you can email me, Jeff at ifiber1.com. If you're interested in advertising in the Mariners this upcoming season. More Daybreak Show is coming up.
From the iFiber One News Radio Studios, you're listening to Daybreak.
Well, the sun is shining again. It's another start to a beautiful day here in the South Sound, and it's going to get nicer for a couple more folks as we find out who's deserving for dinner. Good morning, Spencer.
Hey, good morning to you. This is one of my favorite contests we've ever done. I'm really glad that Eric Anisco provided these gift cards to the Strip Steakhouse. It's a very memorable contest for sure.
It's been a lot of fun, I think, too, because this is somebody nominating someone else. Normally, when we have contests, it's people calling in to win for themselves. But this is recognizing and acknowledging hard work done by others in our community. And for the most part, I think outside just a handful, these folks are unknown to the greater population of Shelton. These are folks that do what they can in their lives to make the world a better place, and it's been a great contest. We have all of our nomination slots filled up, so we're not taking any more nominations, but we will be awarding these throughout the rest of the week, and it's been a heck of a lot of fun. And again, you're right, big thanks to Eric Anisco, Bayshore, Texaco, Hillcrest Shell, and city council member there. Also the Strip, probably great to get a lot of folks rolling on into the Strip and help them out, and if you can, help out a bunch of great local businesses in town. So who do we have today?
We have Karen, who writes in, I honestly don't know her last name. Jenna works at the library and is also my closest neighbor at the Lawton Apartments. I am a widow of a veteran. She has served the community well and have heard nothing but good about her. I know she would appreciate being recognized for her work educating the public. I'm proud to ask for your help recognizing her. If not all the staff at the Timberland Library, they are all amazing. Karen, you're right. They are an amazing set of people. And congrats to Jenna. Thanks to your nomination, she will enjoy that $25 gift card at the Strip Steakhouse.
Gregory has nominated a couple guys from the Central Mason Firefighters Association, Steve and Nick. Steve, been a past president of the association and volunteer for almost 20 years. Nick has held various positions, with being a trustee being the most recent position, also a volunteer for decades. You know, these pancake breakfasts that they have held at the various fire stations had to be canceled, but Greg would like to recognize Steve and Nick for all that they have done to assist the community and the community served by Central Mason Fire and EMS. Coordinating these breakfasts are a ton of work, and that's just one of the things that these great folks have done to help out not only the community, but Central Mason Fire and EMS. So Greg nominating Steve and Nick, a couple guys from the Central Mason Firefighters Association. They are deserving for dinner as well. We've got more of these wrapping up through the rest of this week. And thanks to Eric and thanks to everybody who has nominated folks, we'll start to get these cards in the mail to everybody. More Daybreak Show coming up.
I-Fiber One News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3 presents Daybreak.
Hey, good morning again, everybody. Jeff Slakey and Spencer Hughes on the Daybreak Show this Wednesday morning. It's going to be another nice day here on this April 15th. Wait.
Oh, no. Wait a minute.
I know that the
Flashback.
days are... I know the days are all kind of running into each other, but it is not April 15th. It is July 15th. It's time to do your taxes. No more delays. Today's the day. And for a lot of folks, of course, everything was uprooted because of coronavirus. Mm-hmm. And April 15th was a month after we started the major shutdowns across the country. And so there was a lot of additional time offered here. So for those that were looking to get refunds, I'm sure they filed still.
Probably, yeah.
For those looking to pay or having to pay, they probably waited or are waiting until today, midnight. The last possible minute. Did you ever do that? Did you ever go to like a post office or anything like that?
We have done that in the past. I remember the lines at the post office and just the pandemonium of everybody trying to get in and get it postmarked by whatever time it was. They'd stay open late just for people like us. They would do that. Because
there'd be people that would go and do that just for the party-like atmosphere. And then there are those that are struggling to get their taxes done in time. And I can only imagine in a city like San Francisco or whatever, plus before the e-filing, lots of folks hustle and bustle into those post offices.
Oh, yeah. Nothing like the last minute, huh? With thousands of people at the same time, millions of people doing it at the same time all over.
Well, just a reminder, today is tax day. Here's ABC's Mark Remillard.
A 3-month reprieve from the federal government on filing your taxes due to the pandemic comes to an end today. The decision to postpone the April 15th filing deadline to July 15th was meant to provide some economic and logistical relief for taxpayers dealing with the uncertainty brought about by lockdowns, school and business closures. Today's deadline means taxpayers must file or seek an extension to avoid a penalty. The IRS is expecting about 150 million returns from individuals at last count. Mark Remillard, ABC News.
Thanks, Mark. Yesterday, switching gears a little bit here, we heard that for some folks this was a common, familiar name, but for many it wasn't. Grant Imahara passed away, and he was just 49. And are you familiar with him? Mythbusters?
I am, yes. That was one of my favorite shows. I don't think I missed a single episode of that. And he was so likable on that. I mean, he really was enjoyable to watch. And when I heard the news, it took me a second, to be honest with you. Like you said, it's not exactly a household name. None of the guys on the show really are household names, but they're all, it's unmistakable when you see them and you see the show and stuff. You know who they are. And I was just deeply saddened.
Yeah. He, well, we'll hear about this from Jason in just a moment, but he he definitely seemed it looked like he enjoyed his profession. He gets to build things and blow up things and work with R2-D2 and all this stuff. And, just so sad. Brain aneurysm at 49. You just don't know.
No, and I'm 49. It's one of those things. Talk about celebrities. Just so young. We talk about even when they die in their 60s that they're young. You know what I mean? 70s, you're young, but 49. And just a really seemed like just a nice guy. Everything I've been reading about him, nobody has a bad thing to say about him. Yeah,
that was a sad one. Looking back, I'm sure they'll be showing some of Grant's greatest episodes on Mythbusters here, and just a tough one and something to think about. You just never know, especially these days. You just never know. Don't take anything for granted, and if you got that loved one near you, give them a squeeze, or if you can give them a call today, it's just something to think about. I don't know. I don't want to put a damper on this conversation.
No, it's true though. It's true.
Celebrate his life, but you just, in a blink of an eye, all things can change.
No, absolutely right.
Grant Imahara was probably best known as a member of the Mythbusters build team.
His punch transfers the forward linear momentum of the car into circular motion.
A co-host of the Discovery Channel show for 9 years, running all kinds of dazzling and destructive experiments, Imahara was a gifted electrical engineer and roboticist who parlayed his skills into several high-profile behind-the-scenes gigs in the entertainment world, becoming one of the few officially trained operators for Star Wars droid R2-D2. He also partnered with Disney to help the company develop a new series of acrobatic animatronics, dubbed Stuntronics, that would be used in Disney theme parks across the globe. Grant Imahara died suddenly of a brain aneurysm. He was 49. Jason Nathanson, ABC News, Hollywood.
More Daybreak Show coming up.
Thank you so much for listening to today's Daybreak with Jeff Slakey podcast. Again, I'm so happy and honored you found us and chose to listen. Please subscribe, rate, review, and share this with your circle of influence. It's a collection of some of the interviews, news, and conversation during Daybreak with Jeff Slakey on I-Fiber One News Radio KMAS, weekdays from 6 to 9. Thank you so much again, and talk with you next time.